Hello, my name is Courtney Barrett and I'm going to be discussing today West Coast desalination to combat Lake Mead drought. So desalination is, in general terms, the process of removing salt from water, and this can be done in two ways. There's thermal desalination, which is an older method achieved by boiling the salt water and capturing the desalinized steam that exits. And then there's also reverse osmosis, which is the more widely used option. It's a newer and more widely used method that involves using pressure to forcefully separate water molecules from salt crystals through a permeable gradient. So the whole point of this presentation in talking about West Coast desalination to combat Lake Mead drought is because there are water quantity shortages. States along the West Coast heavily rely on the Lake Mead watershed for a fresh water source. Some of these include Arizona, Colorado, California, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Wyoming, and even portions of Mexico. Lake Mead is known as the nation's largest reservoir, and it supplies an upwards of 25 million people with fresh water. Currently, as of yesterday, which is June 4th, 2022, Lake Mead's water fills up to 1,047 feet above seawater. Now, in July of 1983, its highest point was 1,225.44 feet. This has led to a depletion of 52 meters over those times. Now, if we reach a water level of 950 feet, this will cause the turbines to falter, and they will no longer be able to function in creating hydroelectric power, which is what Hoover Dam does. Lake Mead is settled on the main stem of the Colorado River, and it was formed with the creation of the Hoover Dam in 1993. All of the subsidiaries of Lake Mead span across Nevada and Arizona in the Mojave Desert. Now, investors, I'm pitching to you what may seem like a miracle. With heavy reliance on Lake Mead for drinking and irrigation water, states like California are gradually declining in health. Water shortages and droughts are leading to increased wildfires statewide and intense water restrictions. Now, some of these water restrictions include in Southern California, where residents are being required to cut usage back by 20 or 30% and limiting outdoor water use to 1 or 2 days a week. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but the Metropolitan Water District stated that if conditions do not improve by September of this year, 2022, they'll prohibit outdoor water use entirely. So that will make it to where people cannot water their lawns, they cannot water their gardens, and things such as that are very heavily regulated at the moment. Now, to combat the annual depletions facing Lake Mead, one of the few options to retaliate include incorporation of more desalination plants along the California coast. Now, desalinated water comes at a heavy cost, so there is currently a desalination plant called Carlsbad located north of San Diego, California, and it's one of the largest desalination plants in the nation. It's run by Poseidon Water, which is a private company. It costs roughly $1 billion to build, and the output's 50 million gallons a day. Now, however, the energy to run that plant costs $50 million annually. Now, reverse osmosis, being the new and most effective option, would need to be located closer to the seawater intake source to avoid higher costs for intake pipelines and complex intake structures. Now, talking about that previous slide where we were talking about the pricing of desalinated water, the price of desalinated water in San Diego is roughly $2,725 per acre foot. 1 per acre foot supplies water for 1 or 2 California households per year. Technology surrounding energy-efficient desalination is currently being researched by Lawrence Berkeley National Lab in California. Now, I know that investing in desalination plants might seem very costly and like a huge hurdle, but desalination is one of the few options open to western states, and its coastal positioning serves vital in its statewide recovery. Grand scale, desalination supplies fresh water to people globally. Saudi Arabia, being one of the examples, is the largest producer of desalinated water. They currently have 33 desalination plants. Desalination in this region allows less pressure to be put on groundwater aquifers, which in our instance, when talking about Lake Mead, this would be a similar occurrence. So in Saudi Arabia, they're lessening the pressure on their groundwater aquifers. In our situation, it would be reducing the pressure put on Lake Mead. Expense is one of the main factors holding California back from implementing more desalination plants. California currently has 12 desalination plants. Now, investing in this creates job opportunities and allows for Lake Mead's reprieve. And the reprieve will allow Lake Mead to restore water level back to working capacity and keep Hoover Dam as a functional hydroelectric plant. Because as we discussed before, if we get down to the 930, 950 mark in water level feet-wise, Hoover Dam will no longer be able to function. And this basically just depletes the entire area because Lake Mead was formulated once Hoover Dam was created. Now, thank you for sitting through my presentation today to discuss desalinating water on the California coast to combat Lake Mead water depletions. Now, I really hope that you decide to go home and think about whether or not you would like to invest in this. Thank you.